Hey everybody, Happy New Year and welcome to the 2022 version of If It Isn't.
It's been a minute, huh?
If It Isn't, we're not doing that over. That's it. If It Isn't Love podcast. I am your host, Danisha Renee.
And I'm your co-host, J.O. Woodson.
And we are happy to be back. Hey, y'all thought we had just left? No, we back like we never left. That's what happened. So we took a end of 2021 sabbatical. Life was happening. Life was lifing. I personally have been trying to lean into rest, and I was just doing too much, and I wasn't organized about it, and I felt myself getting so overwhelmed. So what I've been learning in my own personal self-care journey is learning when to stop. And so I was just like, I came to Jeremy and I was like, let's just end this year early and take the time to really mentally prepare and put ourselves in a better position for season 3 of the podcast, right? It's something that I knew I wanted to do, specifically as we enter into new spaces in our relationship and just having different things to talk about than we did before. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited. So I knew I didn't want to like not do it, but I knew I needed a break. So
yeah, I definitely felt you needed one.
Oh, not that you needed one, but that I needed one.
I mean, of course, like I'm always up for taking a break and everything like that. But I feel like what I do for a living and like how I operate, you know, a break is like.
You're a little more flexible.
Oh yeah, I'm a little bit much more
to have
flexible.
Regular breaks throughout your.
Yeah, whereas you is like you kind of have to be on all the time.
Yeah. So that's my own struggle right now is how to be off when I want to be on. So we're back. This is actually season 3, so that's exciting. Mm-hmm. One of my hopes for the podcast this year is that we record more episodes and than we have any other time. Mm-hmm. Because I forgot when we started the podcast, but we started
it was like mid something.
It was the middle of the year. So when we ended, we had like maybe 17 episodes. And then when we did last year, we had some breaks, some extended breaks, plus we ended early. So now we're starting at the top of the year. Even though by the time this airs, it's the second week of
January.
That month, second week of January. So we give ourselves a late start, which is cool. But my hope is that we have some scheduled breaks throughout the year, specifically around the wedding, y'all, because we're getting married this year. And then still ending a little bit early next year, but maybe not ending in like October. It's like maybe ending, in December.
I mean, there was a lot happening after October. So it was like we had my mom coming for Thanksgiving for almost a week. It felt, I think.
It was.
And then
it didn't feel. It was.
And then we had the cruise. And
I'm not saying we didn't do stuff. No, we also could have recorded, right? Like it was an option. I had a 3-week winter break, and technically it has rolled over, because it is a weekday right now that we're recording.
We could have recorded, but at the same time, like I think that would have been unfair, not necessarily to me, but unfair to you.
I'm not saying
that is like you don't really get a break anywhere else.
That's true. I get it. I'm not saying it's bad. What I'm saying is I think that if I want to be intentional with our breaks moving forward to say like, hey, we are taking a break, so y'all know like, okay, around this time, you're going to get a different, or you're going to get a previously recorded episode, or you're going to get something else you're not going to get. But I also want us to be able to build on other content on other platforms, and really we're doing all this work. I want us to remain consistent. That's that's my word of the year. I used to do this thing where I would choose a word of the year, and I would let that word be my guidance for how I operate during the year. I remember the very first word that I chose was, of course, as soon as I start to say it, it flew out of my head.
Yikes.
It starts with an I, and it's about looking at your own ownership or your culpability in a situation. Introspection. That was my words. I think I said something about introspection. And I remember every time I had a conflict or something happen in that year, or every time something came up, instead of getting mad and being like, because I was very big on you did this and yeah, sometimes it'd be other people's fault. Let's not get it twisted. But I will always ask myself, how did you contribute to this? Right? Good or bad, right? So it wasn't always bad. Sometimes I didn't give myself credit and it would be like, this thing happened and I'll be like, oh, that wasn't me, that was this. And oh no, that's just how it's a blessing. But I had to be like introspection, like how'd you contribute to this? Like what did you do that either didn't prevent this, created this, or gave space for this? So that was the word. And so I did it a few other years, and then maybe somewhere around 2016 or 2017, maybe around 2017, I think I just stopped doing it.
Okay.
So I decided to pick that back up. And so this year, my word is consistency. I have a few other words, but that is my guiding word. And I think it's really important that I'm consistent with a lot of my efforts. I get easily discouraged when I don't see results. And I'm looking at some of my different goals and resolutions and things that I want to accomplish in 2022. And a lot of them will just require consistency, even when the results aren't evident.
Right.
It doesn't mean results aren't happening. It means the results aren't evident, right? And I think it's like baking a cake. You put all the ingredients together and you put the cake in the oven. And then if you watch it, right, you don't see how the cake cooks from the inside first, right? But it's cooking. And in minute 3, the cake may not be, it's not ready, but it doesn't mean that minute 3 isn't important.
Right,
minute 3 has to happen because if the cake takes 20 minutes to cook, it can't get to 20 without 3. And so you need 3 to happen.
Come on, sermon.
Okay, I'm spitting at the beginning of the year. I'm just letting you know. Okay, I'm out here. Okay, Pastor Clark, because I'm dropping knowledge. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Okay, okay, thank you, Holy Ghost.
Look at your neighbor.
Look at your neighbor and tell them this MF is spitting. Just kidding. That's how my church goes. That's how my church goes. But really, just
Church of
telling
Cursing Christ. Church of Cursing in Christ.
Yes, Cursing in Christ. Hello, hallelujahs. But just really being able to say, like, even when this work doesn't yield an exact result, to understand that I'm constantly building and to stay consistent, because that's what matters, right? You think sometimes you see people, I see a lot of actors who like will come out, right? You ever seen somebody come out and I don't mean like come out sexually, I mean, or in terms of sexual orientation, I mean like, you're like, oh, this actor just broke through, right? And then you see a movie and you're like, this person has been acting for the last 20 years. And they've been so consistent that then when you see them in their breakout role, you don't realize the other 50 nothing roles or whatever, and shade to those roles that they had to get to meet people, to hone their craft, to do all that to get to the place that they are. It doesn't happen for everybody, right? Some people just are like, hey, and then they get discovered and but so most people don't. So just in all aspects of life, having to say like, stay consistent with your stuff done and shit. Even when you spend all this time curating a photo and a post and only 3 people like it. And then the most random piece of content you record because it's on your head, it's not rehearsed, it's just whatever, is like the most successful.
Right.
And it's like, it has nothing to do with what I normally talk about, what I have desire to talk about, but then people like to hear
funny post.
Or it's funny, but people like to hear you say it, or, and you never know, right? So just making sure that I'm consistent in all aspects, right, of my life. So
I actually have to reword, like that's on my 2020 list. Like it's stay consistent, but I have to reword it for me because I need to be progressively consistent. Because like for me, consistent, like keep going and going and going, but it's like at the same time, like if I consistently sit on the couch a lot,
right? I mean, so your consistency needs to have a focus,
right? Because I'm like, I can consistently sit on the couch.
Not consistently lazy. Let's not do that.
So that's why like I kind of have to reword it for me because like I need to be consistent in doing something that is progress for me.
Yeah. So if you guys hadn't figured it out, the first episode of the year, super cliche, we are talking about New Year's resolutions. Like, I know it's so cliche. It's what everyone does. I listen to lots of different podcasts. I guarantee when the podcasts drop, they're going to all be talking about New Year's resolutions. Mm-hmm. And that's okay? Because this is us. This is how we're doing it. Also, I didn't mention at the top of everything, we have a new drop date. So our podcast episodes will not come out on Wednesdays instead of Tuesdays. Because we decided that would give us a little bit more time to make sure that we get things out in a consistent manner.
Yeah.
So we're talking about our New Year's resolutions and our goals. And I'm looking over and I see you have, so y'all, I thought I was bad. This man has a 50 goal list. That is wild.
I mean, some things like kind of go hand in hand, but I have to be like specific with mine because like in most of the stuff that I put on my list is big to me, but maybe small to everybody else. But what matters is what I think. So I think like even some of the stuff that I have on here, like I've been doing pretty good at so far.
So how did you organize your list?
I did not organize.
Okay, you didn't.
I just started going with it, just getting it out of my head and just putting it on the iPad.
Okay.
That's it.
That's fair. I have categories, so I'll just ask because of course me. It is who I am, and I'm okay with that. So I'll let you go and start talking about what some of your goals or resolutions. I don't know which one you want to go with.
I mean, I'll probably go with one that I've already been doing, which is make the bed every day.
I noticed that, and I was just like, oh, look at him. I ain't say nothing. Came back and I said, look at the bed made.
That was like I said, maybe small to everybody else, but big to me.
Big to me too.
Because I'm the one who wakes up late and everything. Well, later than she does because she wakes up at the butt crack of dawn.
Because I have to be out of the house before you.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
But that was on my list to do for this year and pretty much continuing and going on. Like, get out of bed, make the bed up, and then go about your day. So that there's like two things that I have to do in the morning that I said I'm going to do more of this year. And one, it was on my Instagram post, story. I might as well just go in another.
I'm like, wait, which is what?
Talk to God and thank God more.
Oh, I'm like, you can't assume that everybody who's listening to this knows your thing. You're like, it's on my Instagram story. Okay, what is it?
True. But yeah, talk to God and thank God more. I try to do that the first thing when I first wake up, like saying what I'm grateful for and everything like that. Because, like, heard it was a great start to the day and all that good stuff. But also, like, like, I'm not religious or anything like that. But, I do know having a good connection with God, or at least thanking God for, him doing some great things in your life is, God appreciates that. I'm sure he does. But yeah, so that was like not just that, but also even when things don't seem to be going right. Because you can be thanking God, when things are going great for all the things that you have. But like, even when things don't seem to be going right, like, shoot, you still got a roof over your head or something is happening in your life that, you could thank God for.
Right.
Because you're alive or something like that.
Hallelujah. What else you got?
Good. All me? Okay.
Well, not all you. I started off talking a lot, so I got
talk to my mom more.
Okay.
There's like a point in time where like every now and then I might go missing. Like on communication and stuff like that. And then, but it's like, definitely want to talk to my mom more, like,
Do you mean like more quality conversation?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, this is your turn.
Well, when I wrote this, like this was like we hadn't talked for like we've only text messaged.
Okay, so you mean having to actually speak, not
Yeah.
necessarily communicate in any way. Okay.
Yeah, like I wasn't calling her because I'm like she's probably at work, she's probably dealing with something right now, or like she's probably resting, this, that, and the other. And like, you know, she more than likely wants to hear my voice. Like she always says she wants to hear my voice.
You were like, not more than likely. She does.
Anyway. I'm trying to think, talk to God more. Oh, one thing that's big for me is that I have not really done yet. Get out of the house more, I should say. Like,
how often is more?
I really go out the house. So it's like,
what's your goal?
At least like once or twice a week. That's at least. Only because like there have been like weeks where I did not even remember what outside looked like last year. Mainly because like either there was no time to get up and get out of the house before. Like I'm not getting up at no 5 o'clock.
You don't have to get up when I get up, but you know, it's not my resolution to not cut you off. It's not my resolution to not help you think about things beyond, because I just think about sometimes you say like you don't have time, and I do think that there are oftentimes we have so many commitments there isn't enough time. Mm-hmm. But I think certain things like go outside more, and I guess it depends on what you mean, because I know you don't mean just step outside, because we have a balcony. You can clearly step outside and have air, fresh air. But in terms of even like going outside, it doesn't mean you got to be outside for hours. It doesn't take, you know what I'm saying? So like being intentional to say like, oh, I'm going to walk around the block, or I'm going to go here, or, you know, on the weekend, I'm going to go out and do this thing, you know, by myself. I think that there is time. I think you have to be more intentional about making the time to do that, because think about all the things that you don't make time for, but you have time to do, right? And I started thinking about that as I think about all the time, even with all the workout stuff I have to do, the time I still manage to find to watch TV. Mm-hmm. I don't make time to watch TV. I don't plan to watch TV, but that usually takes a few hours of my week. Mm-hmm. And if you took one of those hours from all the hours that you might watch TV, you go outside definitely once a week. You probably could do it more often and spend an amount. Like, I just think it's about reframing. Are we running out of time? I just want to make sure we're being aware of that.
No, we're good.
Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, it's my turn. So I broke my goals into categories, and I'm actually updating. And of course, I got my little background because I want to print them out so I can always have them to refer back to. And I'm going to say how I broke my goals down. I broke them into categories, and then I have, and I make fun of you, but I have somewhere between 5 and 7 per category. But then I have another list of like, these are the goals. Here are my quarterly goals. So I try to break them down to be more specific. So I'm looking at my goals and I'm saying, of these, what do I want to do this quarter, right? Mm-hmm. So January through March. And then of those, how do I break them down monthly? So if I have this overall goal for the year, what does that look like for the quarter? What does that look like for the month? Mm-hmm. So every month I'm like one of my goals under self-care is to read 60 books. Now, I've had that goal before and I've gotten to like 20. That ultimately means that I have to read a book a year or a month, a book a month. And some months I have to read two, right? For at least eight weeks. I keep saying a month, a week. I have to read a book a week. And some weeks I'm going to have to read more than one. So that's how that breaks down. Mm-hmm. I really probably going to have to get under the umbrella that I can read more than one book at a time. I'm just really like, sometimes I'm like, I really want to ingest this book without having the thoughts of this book. But life doesn't work like that, right? So I'm going to start tandem reading where I read more than one book at a time. It might be like, oh, okay, today I'm really reading this book, and then the next day I'm going to read the other book, so I don't know how to worry about, carrying 2 books at once. My first book is literally the first book I started with last year, which is Barack Obama's book. It is just
it's a Bible.
It is such a dense read, and I'm like 65% of the way through it. And I'm going to finish that, but I'm absolutely going to start other books this week because I don't have no choice. And then just like I told you, thinking about same time, like, oh my God, do I have time to read? Like, yeah, because there are so many things that I do that I spend time doing that I don't plan. Right. So like watching TV, and I don't watch a ton of TV lately, but I've watched a lot more because I've been on break. But I've been trying to be cognizant. So I'm going to move forward and like not watching television Monday through Thursday. And really just limiting my television watching to the weekends. And that doesn't mean binging, but then using the time that I could be sitting and watching television and reading, right? And I want to make sure I start my day reading and I end my day reading. And in some of my breaks, I want to like dedicate some of my lunch break to reading, like for 20 minutes, right? So ultimately what I thought is if I read 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes midday, 20 minutes in the evening, minimally, I've read an hour in a day, right? And that means minimally on a weekday, I could read for 5 hours. That's easily could finish a book in that time, right? So trying to like kind of think of things that way. So that's one of my goals. So again, one of that was under the self-care category. I also have a marriage category, right? Because first it's a relationship, but again, I'm getting married. And that's actually the first thing on the marriage list is to get married, and on May 19th, which still like crazy. Like we get married this year.
132 days.
Yes, in 132 days. Not from the time you're watching this, but from the time we're recording this. It'll be 120 some days from that time. Like so 4 months. We're getting married. So that's one of the goals. And under marriage, I have a relationships category, which is a lot about the relationships with my best friends. And I had been talking to them like with COVID and just the way things are going and the way things have been. And outside of COVID, just life, I was telling one of my best friends, like, I just want to make sure that we are spending more time making sure that we're being intentional about our relationships.
Yeah.
And that we're spending time together, and that since we don't all live in the same city or state, that we are making sure that we are carving out time to spend with each other. And it doesn't always have to be some trip or a party. It could just be like, we should have weekends where we're just like chilling, and it doesn't have to cost a lot of money, and spending time with each other. Sure. And in the same way with like my mom and my sister, I want to be a lot more intentional about, spending time with them. Last year just made me realize not the mortality, but just how much time changes a lot as time goes on and you get older. And I just want to make sure that, we're making sure that we're learning one another as our lives are progressing. So that's one of my categories. Probably one of my favorite categories of my goals is my luxury category. I was really hesitant about this, right? Got a wedding coming up, just feeling like saving. And I also have a financial category, which I haven't done. It's going to be my last one. And it's like, how do you have a financial or, a financial category, which are your financial goals, which are about saving and getting out of debt. And then having a luxury category, which is also typically about spending non-necessity money. But some of it is just like luxury experiences. One thing that I did put on there is to have a luxury set, a luxury bed set, which I know your mother is going to love the idea of that. I mean, I just think about when we went to Macy's that time, and if we had really spent all the money on like the comforter and the pillows and the sham and what we thought was the comforter that was on sale, but it's just the duvet. You have to actually, the duvet cover, but you have to buy a duvet. And if we had gotten all the piece of this hotel set in a king size, because that's the size our bed is, we would have spent $1,000, like something like that.
Yeah.
for them, like, you know, super high count, thread count sheets. And I was just like, you know, I think we should do that. Another one of the things on my luxury list, I'm not looking at this that often because I kind of remember some of the stuff that I put on there, is to fly business or first class internationally, which I already have the trip in mind that I want to do that on. And I watched the end of Love Life and they were in them seats and I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
That was my confirmation. I know how much these seats cost and that's okay because I'm going to get one. I'm going to, you know, you get on the good foot so you can get on there with me. Because I hate to have to just be waving at you from the front. Hey, babe. You gonna be next to me?
Yeah. Nah, that ain't like. There's only like for 15 hours or shoot less than that. Like Maui is like a 9-hour flight if you flying straight through. That's a long time to be on a plane and in economy and stuff like that. But I think I'm gonna go into one more before we go on break. Let me see here because I know you talked about luxury. One of mine was spend less, save more. Because I don't feel like I spend a whole lot, but at the same time, like I don't save as much as I should. So yeah, like that's something that I definitely need to work on. Cause like I think even with like I do save, but next thing you know, I'm spending it on a I guess a high price item or something like that, or a high ticket item.
Just be more intentional about the money that you're going to spend. I know sometimes like you might see packages coming in. It's like she's spending a bunch of money. One, I don't spend a bunch of money, and I try not to have guilt about the money that I spend. But when I do spend money, I account for that.
Yeah.
Like I paid every single bill that I have for the month. That's one upside to having to pay, only getting paid monthly from your primary income source. I pay all my bills and then I'm like, can you afford this before you get paid? And be cognizant that car needs gas, need groceries, all the other stuff.
Yeah.
So, and have I saved, right? And right now it's like, have I put money into the wedding account or is this better used for that? So I get that. And to say like, for me, if I'm going to spend anything that I didn't plan on that costs more than $20, I'm like, oh, okay. That's why I don't like surprise stuff.
Yeah, I feel like most of the stuff that I even purchase is mostly stuff that I would use for business stuff, like photography equipment or anything for design or anything like that. But also I need to stop, like, even with that, like thinking like I can't wait maybe a month or so to get it before I actually purchase it, because like I'm thinking like I need to go ahead and just get it now and I could just make it back later. Like, no, make it back now and then just get it after that.
Or also making sure you have a plan for your ROI, for your return on investment. So it's not like this can make me money. I'm going to get this today. And when will I'm going to do these things that will get me my money back in a month. So
yeah. But we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to grab me some water and we'll be back in a second.
Here's a word from our sponsors, which is us. Welcome back. I knew we were still talking about resolutions and goals, and we were talking about a money one. Do you have another one that you want to talk about?
I mean, I have a lot of them.
You have 75.
Anyway,
no, I don't know. It's a lot.
I have one that's much more prioritize what I want to accomplish. So I feel like I definitely put more emphasis on people who are my clients mostly, but like I can see the potential in other people's business and everything like that. And sometimes it's like a struggle for me to do something for myself.
Yeah.
Even for my business and everything like that. So this year I started working more on putting stuff that I want to do first, like scheduling that first before I do anything else. Whether it's like, going outside to take a picture or fly my drone and everything like that. Because even some of that is on my list, like fly my drone and get more practice, produce a drone video once a week, which I haven't done this week.
The week's not over.
It's
only Friday.
True, but I'll leave tomorrow.
Tomorrow afternoon. We have all day tomorrow.
That's true. And even with that, build a photography business and build a better design business. And I have to be more specific with that because I do not know what that entails.
I mean, that's a lot.
So
I mean, yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong. I think some of my goals are just very blanket, and then I'm gonna have to go into my handy dandy journal and like write them out, and then write like, what does that look like to me? And, and also making sure that I'm writing the why. Like, why is this important to me? Why is it important that I double my income? You know, why is it important that I make that kind of money? Why are these things important to me? So
yeah.
One of my goals that falls under career is quitting my current job. I just started my job last July, and I decided that it's just not a good fit. And I decided that I no longer wanted to be in a space where I felt like I needed to consistently be running from my job. And I could say that I've had jobs in the past where, some days it's just work and you would rather stay home. But there were a lot of days where I'd be like, ooh, I'm excited to go to work because we got this going on and that going on. And it's this kind of day and I get to see these people and it's this kind of environment. And I just don't have that. And my current job, it doesn't feel, many of the people that I work with, it doesn't feel like a genuine camaraderie. It feels very forced. And there are some great people that I work with, so don't let me say that. But I feel like there's a lot of things that are done for the sake of doing them. And we just are in a space where we work on very limited resources and there's a big ask. And I thought I could do the commute. The commute is a lot, and I don't want to.
Shoot, it was a lot for me, and I didn't do it every day.
I don't want to continue to spend 2 hours of my day just commuting to and from work, and putting all that wear and tear on the car. And it's just not a place that I see myself growing in the way that I originally thought. So my plan is to leave that place and to kind of leave the industry of higher education overall is one of my goals. And of course, my ultimate goal from an entrepreneurial standpoint is I want to be a full-time influencer, which I think I've said before, it's kind of scary to think, right? Like I'm 35 years old and influencer game seems to be something that is what young people do, kids, in your 20s and you're on TikTok and do I got to do these dances or what do I say and what do I do? And am I really going to get paid to just say my opinion and to promote brands? But think about how many people do that and how many, Oprah didn't think like, yeah, she's a journalist, but Oprah also just like talks to people. And so I really want to be a full-time influencer. Like I think wanting to do it previously, but there not being a word for it. And now having so many people who have done it, who do it successfully. And it is super consistency. So you have to be consistent just for the different platforms to push out your content. And in that kind of decide what kind of influencer do you want to be. Like, yeah, I love hair and makeup. So a lot of my videos will be about that, but I like a lot of lifestyle stuff. Like this is how I learn how to do this, or this is how I create this, or this is how I make this work for me. And even in having a podcast and doing our life. And it's not about like, oh, this is how you should do everything. And I know the answer, but just kind of being like, this is how we do it. And this is how I do it. And this is what works for me. And so kind of building my brand out, that's really important to me. But understanding that you got to eat every day. And I talked to a friend of mine and we're kind of working out what my career is looking like. And we have this conversation about portfolio careers. And it's really this idea that there are some of us who are not meant, this is you 100%. There are some of us who are not meant to have one job that fulfills us. And so some of us are looking for our dream job. Some of us have it and you're looking for it and you're wondering why everywhere you go, you're not fulfilled in that doing that thing, because that thing is not going to fulfill you. You need to be doing that thing and this thing and this thing and this thing, which could be meaning 4 different jobs, and they're not always simultaneous. It could be I'm doing this for 3 months, and then I'm gonna do this for 6 months, and then I'm gonna do this for 3 months, and then I'm gonna do this for a year, right? And so many people are afraid of leaving their jobs or being called like job hoppers, and maybe you're not gonna do traditional work, right? And maybe you're gonna do something else, and really understanding like what works for you. And honestly, in our economy, now is one of the best times to be in the position to wanting to change your career, because it is just like it is in terms of home buying, it is a seller's market. It is right now a job seeker's market. And we are actually in a period that many are labeling the Great Resignation. Because yes, I don't know if you heard, I read an article about it yesterday, because so many people are resigning from their jobs, are letting jobs know that they got them fucked up, and that they're not, you can't just mistreat people and say anything to people or do anything to people and expect them to come to work the next day. And people are like, yeah, and you don't know the password, Amy? Oh, well, I'm out.
I feel like what I'm also noticing is that there was one, I'm not sure if this was a joke or anything like that, but like, somebody was asking like some not normal questions in their interview and everything like that. Like they were asking the interviewers some not normal questions. I wish I could remember where I saw that, but it was like, so what is, basically it was something like, so what would somebody say working here that stresses them out most, or something like that?
That is a real question.
I'm like, wait a minute.
But that's a good question. And I say this as someone who professionally, what I do for a living is help people prepare for entering the workforce, resume writing. That's literally what I do for a living. But part of that is understanding that when you do an interview, just in a very traditional form, you should have questions for the interviewer. And one of them could be, why did the last person leave this position? What would someone say is the hardest part about working here? It's fair. And what people don't remember when they're doing job interviews and when you're seeking a job, it is just like when you're dating. It is great if the person likes you. It's great if they think you're amazing and you're a good fit for their life. But if you don't also like them, what does it matter? And if they only have one thing on your list that is really good, is that going to be a happy relationship?
Yeah.
And having to look at the job in that way. And it doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, right? It means, do you have enough of the qualities that I need in a relationship that we can work well together? And if we can work and learn one another well enough, this will work well. So a lot of that. And so I'm at a place in the relationship with my job where I'm like, how you presented when we first started going together is not what I thought it was. The money was cool, but the more I reevaluate my credentials and what I bring to the business and my educational level, I realize I'm not being paid enough, even though it is a significant step above what I was making before at my last job. It just really means they were severely underpaying me. And so rather than wait for it to get better, it's better to just know, like, this doesn't work. And that's okay. And not feel a way about it. But also because we're getting married in a few months, I'm not in a position to just quit my job. But I'm going to say this right here on air right now. And I don't think I've ever said this out loud to him. If I do not find a new job by the time we get back from our honeymoon, I'm quitting anyway. And I'm saying this on air, but it's not final. I also say that knowing I have your support to do that. So I'm not just being like, oh, I'm throwing him under the bus and I'm shocking him. I know that I have your support. So one way or another, by the time, and the hope is that I actually have a new job before we get married, because I was first gonna wait until after the wedding, and then I was just like, nah, I'm not waiting until after the wedding because that's still 4 months from now. That's a long time, and so I'm gonna work on getting the new job now, and I don't care about vacation that I need for honeymoon and all that. I'll figure all that out. I'll cross that bitch when I get to it.
I feel like, because like I know we talked about this, but like when you told me about like how you feel about the job and everything like that, or the fact that you wanted to look for another job, like I'm never a person who will be like, no, you need to stay at this job because we need this, that, and the other. Like, no, like, because that's the stress alone from being in a place that you don't necessarily feel valued, or even in a place that you don't want to be and everything like that. Like, that will kill you alone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need you here. So
my happiness is just more important to me. And I've realized that I spent a lot of time in my life doing what I thought was right and doing what I thought people expected of me. Even though I like to think I'm not a people pleaser, it makes me think like, no, I went to school. I did all these things right. And I'm really focused on my own happiness. And I'm realizing, and it doesn't mean that things don't get hard, right? True. Some of the things I love the most, like all the content creation, it's hard, but I enjoy it. And I just need an ownership of my life and of my day and autonomy in my schedule that my job doesn't allow and won't allow. And it for that going back and forth is too hard. Like, I feel like I have to be somebody that I am not when I'm at work. And I just really don't enjoy it anymore. And plus, there's so much passive aggressiveness in my workspace that I'm over it. So yeah, either way, hopefully beforehand with the job, in tow. But if not, when we come back from our honeymoon, I'll be putting in my 2 weeks if I still happen to be working there, because I'm gonna be done. And the best thing about it is, and let me tell you, I am not too out. Put some new tires on the car. Uber Eats. I'll do with 2 degrees. I do whatever I need to do to supplement. I got skills, right? So I also don't think that I won't, if I'm diligent, I don't think that I won't have another job before I have to leave this one. But I'm not afraid to piecemeal together and really build on my portfolio careers and do some different stuff in order. You need a photography assistant. I'm going to be out there assisting it. Okay, lighting. Y'all going to see me. Okay, I'm going to be doing whatever I need. I'm going to be running all his businesses so much. You ain't going to have time to do nothing but do the work. So I'm going to be running all your businesses to the point that maybe that'll be my job. I'm running all your business. So you got so many appointments. You can't, because I'm running them. I just don't want to do this anymore. And I'm ready. And literally the only thing that is stopping me is our wedding, which costs a lot of money. And so I need this consistent income to still be coming in to help pay for the wedding. But that just really excited me. Honestly, saying that out loud just really got me hype. That really just got me hype.
I was about to say something different.
What you guys gonna say?
Hot and bothered.
It got me hot. No, it got
All right,
me.
cut. Let's go.
It got me so hyped to just, I feel like, take charge. And it's scary. Don't get me wrong. I'm terrified saying that. Like, oh my God, income. I need an income. But I just really like, I just kept thinking to myself, I'm 35, like, what do I want to do in when I'm 40? And where do I want to be? And insurance. That'd be the number one thing, y'all. Insurance, not just money. Mm-hmm. It's insurance. My job pays 100% of my health insurance.
Mine doesn't.
So it is nice. And I ain't gonna lie, before I go, I'm gonna go get everything checked out. I'm gonna get everything, okay? Do everything.
This, that, and the other.
Check for everything first. I make sure I get all my dentist appointments in, okay? Do everything. But that's just that I'm really excited, and I'm excited to do things that actually scare me, but I'm ready to move. So I'm gonna shut up so you can do another one.
I think we got time for one more, maybe.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm gonna put 2 together. One is fully monetize my talent, and the other one is value myself and how I look, which means also take more pictures, smile more, better clothing choices. Don't be clapping
Oh, sorry.
so loud on the microphone.
I'm so excited. Okay. I'm excited. I like, self-care is one of my things. I like for you to think you're important enough to take care of yourself. And it does.
I mean, I
matter.
try. Like, I do
You've gotten better.
stuff like exfoliate. But
I be trying to tell people all them oils and serums on the bathroom are not mine.
I have 3.
How many you had before?
I mean, if invisible was a number,
I've come home and seen and be like, is this? Sometimes I'll be like, now I know I ain't used this.
I have my own.
Huh?
I have my own.
Now you do, yeah. I know now.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, even when I took the picture over there and everything like that, like I was like, okay. I tried to get so far out of my head when I only took maybe 10 photos, like just propped up the little mini tripod and everything, and just took some photos and stuff. Cause I was like, whenever I take a photo, or even before I take a photo of myself, like I'm like, does it feel organic? Does it feel this? Does it feel that? Is the lighting right? This, that, and the other. Oh, my leg just looks weird. Stuff like that. Yeah. Or should I look off and be all mysterious and stuff like that? And it's just
mysterious.
Anyway, but it's like, even if it's just a picture of me smiling or something like that, because like, what was that? There was a couple people that said like, you never smile in your pictures. I'm like, I do. I just don't take pictures of me smiling all the time. So, or really never take pictures of myself. Like, I'm a photographer who doesn't take pictures of himself. Okay. But that's part of it. So like, and then fully monetizing my talent comes into play with just even like, I'm good at a lot of things. And like, even though there are certain things that I'm like kind of worn out on that might take a back burner and everything like that, like design won't be one of those. I feel like I definitely put photography on a back burner because of how just because of how the industry is, like especially back in Chicago and stuff like that. Like it's interesting, but I let that affect me. I let clients and how that interaction affect me, and how I just put photography off to the side, or even just videography off to the side. And I was like, there's only certain people I'm taking pictures for, and pretty much you are one of them. But I guess like wanted to fully monetize everything that I do, that I have a talent for. So yeah.
Well, maybe not everything.
What you mean?
I mean, I don't know how freaky does OnlyFans get?
Shut your Oh my God.
You said fully monetize your talents.
Anyway, my family friendly talents.
Oh, okay. Well, you gotta be
photography.
You gotta be more Pacific.
And
you gotta be more Pacific.
Pacific?
Mm-hmm. Like the ocean.
Pacific. Okay. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's my last two.
That's good. So, the only thing I have for my last one is not actually any of the goals that are on my list, but something that I need to apply to most, if not all of them, is just to do. I spend so much time planning. Even in doing this list, if I told y'all how long it took me to find the right backdrop and trying do I want to run to my journal versus this, and I spend so much time analyzing and planning, which is good, right? Like, let me not analyzing and creating a proper plan to execute appropriately is something I advise in life in general, right? Yep. Not to just kind of go out there without a plan. I believe in having a plan A and a plan B and a plan C. But sometimes I plan and most times I plan and analyze myself into, I don't know if the word is constriction, or I plan or analyze myself into immobility. That's it. So I'm like, if I don't have all of these things done, then I can't do. So I have materials and I have everything that I need. Even when it comes to some of my videos, if I tell y'all how many things I already have to make videos, I could easily record videos and have enough content for probably the next 4 months and not have to purchase anything else. I have videos that I have recorded, but I feel like in my mind, everything has to be so perfect. And I have to remember what it feels like when I just go and I just do. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And what if it's not perfect? What if it's not what I planned? It still can come out really well. And oftentimes, and for me, it's going to be better for me this year to just do something and to produce than spend so much time trying to make everything perfect. So
definitely,
that's my goal, is to not procrastinate on it and to just start doing stuff. And to so when y'all see this, y'all see much more of the other content I have coming out, because next week I gave myself a 1 week 2022 reprieve, and now I gotta get my shit together.
Let me get one more bonus one that you might like.
Come on, bonus.
Go on a date once or twice a month with Danisha.
Oh, that's one of mine in my marriage. In my marriage list, look at, beep, 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 beep. We are lined up. One of mine is bi-weekly, which I think means every other week, right? Okay.
Every other week,
yeah. Bi-weekly date night with alternate planning. It doesn't have to be exact, right? It could just be like, I just figured, so that end of like once a month, I'd have to, so I did alternate planning because one, I didn't want to just be on you. Be like, hey, I want to have I thought weekly is a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. But doing a bi-weekly like date night, and it can switch in, it just be like, okay, it's gonna, and it doesn't have to be a specific night of the week. It could be Friday, it could be Tuesday, whatever. But the person has to plan, tell the other person in advance. And it doesn't always have to be something outside and that costs a whole bunch of money. I mean, I like to go out sometimes, but I also don't want it to just be like, oh, we're going to watch Law and Order because we do that anyway, which tonight.
Yes.
So like, yeah, that's one of the things on mine. My bonus, something that I think you're going to like, is to initiate physical intimacy more often. Don't cut nothing. That's mine. And I know it's not just, yes, sex, but not just sex.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes, sex. Yes, and. Yes, and. But also just, I know that physical touch is high on your list. So, and I know it's important that I not only receive it or reciprocate, but that I initiate. So that's one of my goals, because it's not high on my list. So I have to be very intentional about it, because I don't need it. And I don't mean like I don't need sex, but it's not how I receive love first. Right? Like something that seems, people like might seem small, but I come in the room and I see the bed made. I feel loved, because organization is an act of service, and that's high on my list and how I receive love. And I receive love through acts of service. So when I come out of the room and I've been working on something, the dishes are washed and like that. And so for me, I'm like, yeah, but you'd see that and you'd be like, oh, she's doing what she does. It doesn't mean love to you, but all like this stuff means like love to you. So being more cognizant of that, and getting out of my head about it, and some of my own stuff, which also going back to therapy is one of my things. So
indeed,
I think it's a good first episode.
Yep.
So thank you guys for joining us. I hope you guys are excited. I have so many ideas. We have so many ideas for different segments. We're going to have guests this year of the podcast. It's going to be amazing. So check us out on social media at If It Isn't Love Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and on If It Isn't Love PO1 on Twitter, which gotta get better. Still a struggle. But my own Twitter
too. New Year's resolution.
Right, I'm gonna get the Twitter together. And then of course on YouTube, and then wherever you get your favorite podcast. Make sure you share, guys. Share. We want to make sure our podcast. One of my goals is to get our listenership and our viewership up as well. So make sure that you share the podcast. It's really good. I think we're funny. We're fun. We're an interesting couple. So If It Isn't Love Podcast. And until next week, guys. Love, peace, soul. I think that's taken. Don Cornelius. Okay, bye, y'all.
Oh, I did live long and prosper this time.
It's all because of